For what felt like the 100th time, she'd lost again. 5 years of marriage, and not once had she managed to push her husband, David, to his breaking point. What a family they were, everything smooth, calm, and collected. She sometimes saw her husband as a bit of a bore, moving at his own steady, measured pace. Even when she tried to pick a fight, David always chose just the right moment to agree with her, causing any argument to fizzle out instantly because Anna had no more points to make. He was ever the gentleman, often surprising her with flowers, modest but beautiful little trinkets and jewelry. He was smart, handsome even. But this utter lack of tension, of conflict, sometimes made her uneasy. Even when they went shopping, he would always go along with her choices, saying he trusted her completely and relied on her taste. David took care of all the heavy lifting himself, never asking for help, and even found time to lend a hand with household chores. He was the one to handle anything too weighty, never allowing her to carry more than her purse. This bothered her too. She felt like he was burdening himself, and every time she offered to help, he would smile and say, "Carry me instead, love." He has never complained that his wife stays up late at the computer, staying up well past midnight. Her friends often joked that her husband was a bit slow. In public, during heated debates, he rarely intervened, and when he did speak, his thoughts were so vague that people began to openly yawn. David's only minor asset was his collection of jokes, although they were always clean and free of crude humor, which meant they didn't always resonate with the crowd. David was always overly polite with her friends, giving off an air of being untouchable. He never danced with any of them, claiming he had reserved all his dances for his wife. Her friends couldn't stand his sense of decorum. They constantly teased Anna, asking, "So, when are you gonna start walking him on a leash?" No matter what Anna did, she couldn't seem to ruffle her husband's feathers. Even when she stayed out late with her friends, trying to provoke him, it always seemed like he knew exactly what she was up to. And the worst part, she couldn't even bring herself to be mad at him. Still, she found a way to stir her husband. After much deliberation, she made up her mind. She had an affair with a coworker. Sometimes, in the midst of it all, she would try to picture her husband's reaction. She was dying to know how he'd respond, how he'd act. Maybe then, like a real man, he'd finally slam his fist on the table. One day, there was an anniversary celebration at Anna's work, a milestone for the head accountant. She let her husband know that the festivities wouldn't end before 11, and that she'd be home around 20 past. That evening, David decided to surprise his wife and meet her after the event. What he didn't realize was that, per the company's usual custom, management had arranged taxis for everyone before the celebration even began. The cars arrived right on time, taking everyone home promptly. About 20 minutes before the time Anna had mentioned, David pulled up to her office with flowers in hand. The security guards, a bit curious, asked where the man with the bouquet was headed. David mentioned the company where his wife worked, and they let him through. The guard casually added that it seemed like everyone had left about 40 minutes ago. As David climbed the stairs to the second floor, he found the office locked. He was about to leave when he suddenly heard the sound of the door unlocking from the inside. The door swung outward, and David quickly stepped behind it, hidden from view. A man and his wife emerged, wrapped up in each other, kissing and holding each other close. Without a second thought, David let the bouquet fall to the floor, grabbed the man by the arm, and yanked him away from Anna's embrace. In a swift, furious motion, David landed a hard punch to the man's stomach, then followed up with blows to his jaw and nose. The man crumpled to the ground, gasping for air as blood spurted from his nose. Anna screamed, but then, in her shock, asked in disbelief, "David, you know how to fight." A guard, drawn by the commotion, came rushing over. Seeing the man lying on the floor, bleeding heavily, he immediately called the police and an ambulance. Without a word, David pulled his wife outside, flagged down the first car that passed, and they went home. At home, David's words were cold and cutting. Don't say a word. He ended up receiving 3 years of probation and was ordered to pay compensation for the broken jaw and nose. Neither David nor his friends could quite grasp why Anna had felt the need to push him to his breaking point. But the most surprising part, those same friends, the ones who had once labeled him a pushover, began showing interest in him after hearing what happened before the divorce. They told Anna she'd been a fool to let him go, claiming they were only teasing, and she had taken it all too seriously. At first, Anna tried to get him back, but eventually gave up. She rented an apartment in another part of the city and changed jobs. It's been over 2 years now, and no one from her old company has seen her. As for David, he rents out his apartment and spends most of his time somewhere abroad, appearing there only a couple of times a year. A few months after they separated, Anna couldn't shake the strange feeling that she had made an irreparable mistake. She often replayed in her head the moments of their life together. Those 2 calm evenings that she once hated now seemed to her like islands of stability in her restless soul. However, too much water has flowed away. She knew that time could not be returned, and her pride would not allow her to knock on his door again. One day, while sitting in a new cafe where she came with colleagues, she heard someone quietly say his name. Her heart stopped beating for a moment, and she listened. "You know, they say that he has become a completely different person," said one of her former friends, whom Anna accidentally stumbled upon in this new place. "I heard that after that incident, he seemed to be reborn. Now he doesn't just find a common language with people. He has become something tough, maybe. So confident, so strong. The divorce must have changed him." These words disturbed her. How is this possible? She always saw in him gentleness and excessive complacence. Anna had tried to cut him out of her life, but now it felt like something important had slipped away from her, something she hadn't seen in her husband. She could imagine him as a new person, perhaps finally the person she once wanted to see. But now this man was far from her. Despite this, Anna tried to continue her life. The new job was too stressful, and she felt increasingly lonely. Those friends who once supported her gradually dispersed. Someone got families, and someone changed their social circle. Anna began to notice that she missed even those clumsy jokes of David, which had previously annoyed her with their simplicity. Everything that had once seemed boring and monotonous to her was suddenly becoming valuable. But she knew that the way back was closed. Sometimes she received fragmentary news about him from mutual acquaintances. Someone said that he had found himself in a new business. Someone mentioned that he had remarried. However, what struck her most was the rumors about his new character, stronger and more independent than ever. It seemed incredible, because she had always believed that she knew him to the very depths of her soul. But as it turned out, she was wrong. Where David went became not just a place of work for him, but a real refuge. He began to lead an active lifestyle, spend time outdoors, play sports, and his inner calmness was replaced by confident resilience. Upon meeting him again, even old friends had a hard time recognizing him. He was no longer the quiet, easygoing man he had once been thought to be. In the rare moments when he came to the city, David walked around the places where he once lived with a sense of calm. He no longer held a grudge against Anna, but he also did not seek to meet her. The past became for him only a part of the history that he had left behind, and new horizons attracted him more than ever before.